Alright, good afternoon, reloaders. Today I'm going to continue on my resizing my brass that I prepped last time. Last time you seen me go through, what was it, depriming and annealing and then setting up for my tumbler. Actually, the last time was you see me take it out of my tumbler and then prepare my brass to get ready to this. So, I don't know if you remember from the first one, I kind of had two batches. So I'm going to start off with my ones that measure about 1.623, and I hope you can see that. Hold on, let me get that locked on. 1.623 is about what it reads, and how I know that is I took this thing, the case comparator, and I measured every case off the shoulder. So I just kind of want to work in my batches because I got 20 that are a little different, and like I said, that's going to change my resizing. Possibly just a little bit. It may not change it, it might, but I'm expecting maybe just a little change. So what I'm using a Redding bushing die right here. This is my Redding bushing die. Here's all the components, and what I'm using for my neck tension is, let's see, a bushing that says 334. I know that's hard to see, but that says 334 on it. And the reason I use 334 is I know there's several ways to come about it, but one of the easiest ways I read about it was you already take a round that you have, and you measure the bullet in the case, and I got 1.335. I got 335. So I just take 1,000 off of that, and that gives me my neck tension, which I'm only sitting about 1,000th neck tension. And I also have a little tool we'll be using over here. Where's she at? Where'd it go? Right over here, which we can actually determine and kind of measure the neck tension. Right there. That will help me make sure my neck tension's on. So I am using the bushing die. So with the bushing die, I'm going to insert the bushing, and then I'm going to run my expander down on it, and I do run my expander. And I'm going to go down, and then I'm going to lock it. I'm not going to lock it up yet, because when it says set up, I'm just going to back it out a little bit, and I kind of just want to hit a little shake in it, which I can right there. Then once I hear that little shake in it, I'm going to tighten my bushing die. I'm going to tighten that part down. So now I got my die set up, and with me, you're going to see my lock rings already turned down. That's because this die is already set up. As you see, I'm using a Lyman All-American 8. So this die is already set up for here. So I'm just going to turn this baby down. And with me, I just finger tighten mine. I see people take a wrench, but I just finger tighten mine. And I've got that set up so I don't have a shell holder in. And I'm also using the Redding competition shell holders, and I'll show you why I'm using that. So I'm just going to start with my number one die, which reads 0.010, and I'm just going to insert that. So as you see when I come up, and if you could see my handle, there's just a little lock right there, and you'll see some people do the same thing that I do, except they'll back off the dies and they don't give you that lock. I just like to take the lock because from everything I understand so far, and it's just been my method to my madness, is it just takes out the errors. It makes everything tight. So I do have a little cam action at the bottom. So like everyone else, I got a container here. I got 2 brasses, so you're gonna see about 30 pieces of brass here. And I'm just gonna squirt a little bit in here. Rotate them a little bit. And then I'm just gonna sit and let that dry. Air out for a little while. Air out for a minute. So the reason I'm starting off with this different in this Redding competition shell holder. So the reason I use these is because once I get my die locked into place where I do, I like it. I don't like backing my die out, backing my die in. I found that it's easier to get my results just by switching the shell holder. I'd rather switch a shell holder and then remember which shell holder it is. For this purposes, I actually know what my shell holders are for this, but I'm just gonna start off with the 0.10 because technically that should give you the least amount of it's not going to affect your die. It's going to do the least amount of bump. And I don't know if you remember from last time, I do most of my cases that come out of my rifle are 1.623, but I got my boy a new rifle and his changed the game because mostly everything in his rifle of that new rifle is coming out on my case comparator 1.621 to 1.620, and I have 20 of them rounds right here. So that changes the game up a little bit because, like I said, this is the first time I've actually had to make changes to it. So I'm gonna make these changes. I'm at least gonna do my first batch of 1.623, which is in this, which is about 30 pieces. So what I'm gonna do initially, that should be good to go. I'm going to run this on up in my die. And then I will take my case comparator, zero it out, and see where I'm at. And actually, as you see, that's actually about right where I want. Let me see if I can get that in there. If you can see that. I wish you could reverse the numbers. It's sitting at 1.620. So I'm fine with that right there. That's exactly where I want them. So I know that's right. So then what I'll do is if anyone sees, I'm gonna raise this up a little bit. Actually, let me back it off a little bit. There goes my case. I also have a Redding what's it called? It's a Redding instant indicator, which I love this because now that I know my headspace and I know this one's right and this die is correct and this is the right shell case, what I'm going to do is, you see there's a 0 up here, and we're going to, you see that 0? I'm going to set that indicator on this die so it's the 0. So let me bring it around here. So now what I've done is, if you could see that, that now reads 0. So now when I size any of my other cases, instead of necessarily reading from the case comparator, I can just use my instant indicator, and if that reads 0, I'm okay with 1. I don't want to go underneath 1.620. 1.620 is where I want to stay. And what I do with that case. Oh, so this one, like I said, I know that's on because I got my first measurement right from here, which make sure that's zeroed, and everyone see that's a 0, and I stick that in here again. 1.6205. I'm sorry again. 1.620. 1.620. get it square again. But 1.6205, which I am plenty good with. That's where I'm happy. So now that I know that's pretty much set up, I'm gonna take another case and I'm gonna run it on up there in the sizing die. And now this one on my instant indicator isn't reading right. So sometimes the comparator is actually better than the instant indicator, which is why I will personally, which it's not, which I can tell you why. And I don't know how this piece got in there. This is a piece of CBC brass. I'm working with Lake City. So CBC will size a little differently because of the dimensions than my Lake City brass. And as you see, Lake City brass, that's what I like. So let me stick that on up in there. Let's see what happens. And actually, all these are reading high, which is all right. That first piece is just different, so I'm not broken hearted. So I'm off by about 3 thousandths. And so I know I'm off by about 3 thousandths. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this out. So far the cases ain't. The first one was just luck that just came out. So I'm gonna switch this out for my second shell holder, which is a 0.008, which is going to size it just a little bit more. And since I'm off, this is actually the one I typically use right here. So now that that's, I'm just going to stick it and run it right back in there. Zero my calibers out, and I'm going to read this piece. Oh wow, that makes 0. One thing I can tell you, I don't like these Hornady. I got a couple different calibers, and the Hornady is my least favorite because it definitely does not read as it doesn't. I always have to constantly zero, and I don't like that. So I'm going to do another piece and compare it to where that piece is. And let me, boop, boop. So it's still off just a little bit. And these cases have been annealed, so I'm going to take another piece. And again, that's still off a little bit. And again, let me double check. And see, look, see, this is what I'm talking about. I didn't change nothing on this caliber, but it reads 1 thousandths off already. And everything's tight. That's one thing I don't like about these. So I still need to make a little adjustment to it. So I'm going to go to my next one, which is a 0.006. So what I'm essentially doing, instead of pushing my die down and bringing my die down farther or up, to which in some cases, I'm actually using the shell holders to control my level that it goes into press. So I'm gonna run this one through it. And I'm gonna tell you, for people who don't like annealing, I honestly feel annealing, the difference in the way a piece of brass comes. So, boom. This is 1.621. I'm okay with 16.21. 2-3 thousandths. That's all I want to bump it. I don't want to bump it anymore. So that one went just fine. So that was 1.621. Until I get a couple pieces in a row and get confidence in it, I'm gonna do another piece. So again, 1.621. That's 2 pieces in a row. So let's go for my third one here. Make sure it's all zeroed. .6205, which I'm great, which I am totally happy with. So now that I know this is where I've got 3 cases in a row that have resized perfectly, I'm going to come back to my instant indicator, and I'm gonna set it up again because I changed a couple shell holders out. So now I'm gonna set this up to be 0 off that case. And yes, there is a thing in this instant indicator that you can use to get it to SAMI specs, but most reloaders don't want to quite go back to SAMI specs, and I'm loading to my rifle, not SAMI specs. So that's the case. So now I should be able to run this, and you can see my instant indicator is staying within the thousands, which that's what I want. I don't want it to go no more, no less. I can handle that bit of. I can handle that. That's where I want to be. Oh, let me zoom in again. Sorry. So that one read good. I'm gonna take this one. Like I said, and I'm gonna stick it in there. And this one reads. If you see that, oh, excuse me for the camera bobble. I will fix this later. So if you see that, that reads perfect. So now that I've got my zeros and I know I've got everything run, what I will do is I will literally after resizing every case, it gets run into an instant indicator, because this is one reason I use my turret press over my marksman, is because, and this one read 02. So now that is because I can't use the instant indicator, and I'm gonna resize this one just a little because I didn't get that one resized. And bam, perfect. Now that I know, and that's 2, 4, that's 6 cases, and I didn't do anything crazy as far as like resizing them too many times or anything. So on that note, with my neck case, I'm not gonna go through doing all the resizing here in front of you. What I will show you though is my neck tension. So with this little thing right here, with this thing, there's like, it goes from smaller to bigger because you can actually use different calibers, and like there's different rings, 1, 2, 3, 4, I want to say 5 rings, and it's a graduated, so it actually goes down narrower because I got the instructions over here, and it can fit. It will tell you. So if it fits lower on this, that means the neck tension's tighter. So as you see here, I'm right where I'm right. If you can see the rings, come on. There's, like I said, it's hard to see the rings, but if you see the ring, there's little graduated rings, so it only lets it go down in so far. So that tells me, well, that's falling on these rings, that my neck tension's 1/1000th. And if it fitted on the last big ring, that means I basically have no neck tension, which is, I'll use this little tool just to confirm, but that's how I determine, well, how you seen earlier, me measuring my round and getting that 335 out of that, and then I just subtracted 1 to get 334 and get my neck tension. And honestly, since I have done that, that's my neck tension. I used to crimp and all that good stuff in my ARs. I don't crimp anything anymore. I rely on my neck tension to keep my bullets in and keep them stable. And unless maybe a tubular magazine, like a 30-30 or something, yeah, I get you gotta crimp. And I've heard everyone say in an AR, you gotta crimp. But I honestly have got away from crimping. I do have a Lead Factory crimp die on here, but I've stopped crimping. And I started that probably the first year I started reloading. At the end of the first year, when I started getting a little more particular about what I'm shooting, because I just used to start off with 150 FMJs, and now I'm kind of getting into a lot of other bullets, AMAXs, some burger bullets, some nozzlers. So I'm playing around with different things. But with all of them, I rely on the neck tension to hold them in. And I've never had, I've never had a double feed. So I can't tell you if the bullet will go down because my rifle has not malfunctioned. Neither has my son's rifle malfunctioned like that. So I haven't had that problem. I mean, so I load I get my cases and everything, and when you'll see when I see, but that has leaded before when I went to the concentricity gauge. When my neck tension was too tight, I was actually having more problems with everything being more wobbly. But now that I've backed it off and only load one, my neck, my neck, I only go to 1,000ths or two at the most 2,000ths. I can feel the actually don't want to say bullet, the actual projectile go in and seat better. I never had it to where it was taking brass off, the jacket off, but I will honestly say I feel the bullet seating better. And since my neck tension, I've worked more with neck tension to work on accuracy, I can feel, and when I take it over to the concentricity gauge, things do line. I may only be 1,000ths, 2,000ths over in my worst rounds. Over most of them are, I'm not gonna say the like 100%, but it's very minimal. Maybe most of them will sit in about 1,000ths, which is where I like, and I can live with. I would love to have them all zero, but it's just the way the game goes, and it doesn't. But on that note, that will conclude that, because like I said, I'm not going to take you through the rest of these and resize them here in front of you. I just wanted to take you through the process on how I resize my traditional brass so far. When I mean traditional, it's coming from them 3 other rifles. We're at the 1.623. And my next session, I'll take you through how I'm going to do these pieces of brass, because I honestly, I do have the case gauges and all these, and I will use them because for most part, they will help me. But when it comes to that, making sure they'll fit, I'll have his rifle up here, and I'll make a couple dummy rounds and make sure they fit to the rifle. And if they go, and I may make 10 dummy rounds and put a projectile on them and take them and just crank them through my AR to make sure they're going in and out and ejecting right and everything like that. And if they're going in there just fine, I don't know how much I'll bump back, because I don't want to bump the brass back much farther than I have to. So it's just going to be a working process there, which, like I said, that will be for the next session. But on that note, I'm going to cut it short. Everyone stay safe. Don't stress out too much. Use your heads. Wash your hands. Like I said, just stay safe. And you guys take it easy, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day. Bye.